everyone, Stephanie here, coffee drinker, book lover, and reviewer of many things, and today I'm drinking water. Check out my cup, it changes colors. I got it from the dollar store. Anyway, today I'm here to talk about a book. That was off of my challenge! I'm so excited! So if you're new here, I have 3 reading challenges going on. I have the 2025 Paper Pie Reading Challenge, which you can get these books from my website, my Paper Pie website, and that's what this book is from. I also have paperclip needs to go away. Hold on. I also have the 2025 Reading Challenge, and this one is towards adults. There's adult themes. There's some spice in some of them, which I didn't know about one of them. Anyway, so there's that one, and then there's the 2025 preteen teen reading challenge, and it's a work in progress. So this book is off of the Paper Pie Reading Challenge. I'll leave a link for all of these in the description. This part's free. It's gonna take you to a Google Doc. And then you can print it out yourself, or you can save it to your Google Drive, I don't know what it's called. So you can do the challenges too. I know we're like halfway through the year, but some people read like 1,000 books a year, and I'm not that person. My goal was 42. 42? 43? Something like that. My goal was in the 40s. Will I reach that goal? Maybe not off this challenge, but that's my goal. So Lightning Girl was really good. But before we get to that, let me read the synopsis to you. Aurora Beam has just had some big news. Her mom is a secret superhero, and now Aurora's own powers are starting to show. Sparks of lightning are shooting from her fingertips. It's a lot to take in. She can't even do a cartwheel. How can she be a superhero? Then an evil supervillain pops up with a plot to steal a very precious stone. Can Aurora save the day? Helped, or more likely hindered, by her fierce friends and a very smooth ostrich. It says the first laugh out loud high voltage adventure of superstar Alesha Dixon in collaboration with Katie Barchel, illustrated by James Lancet and Steve Simpson. It's really good. My favorite part is there are pictures, and the pictures. The artwork is great. Because okay, so Aurora is 10. Yeah. All right, now I am going to get my trusty book lover's journal here. I feel like I'm closer than normal. I think I rearranged things. Anyway. So, yeah. Lightning Girl, book 1. Author Alesha Dixon. She's like a rapper singer person, and I didn't know that, but I think I might have met her at like GalaxyCon like 5 years ago, but I'm not positive about that. I just remember talking to someone that looked similar to her. Oh, it's blurry. Wait. And, I just remember talking to someone who was telling me about this super girl. Yeah, I don't know. Um, I'll have to go through all my stuff and find out. The genre of this book is fantasy fiction or children's fantasy, or there was another one I didn't write it down, but it's for like 8 to 10. Um, I say anyone could read anything. The publisher of the book that I read is Kingler. There are 294 pages. I didn't write down when I started this book. I do remember that I started it a long time ago because I was reading it to my kid at night. But I finished it June 23rd, 2025. Why did I choose this book? It's been on my paper pie challenge. It was on my paper pie challenge, and I've been wanting to read it since it showed up on my website because it sounded so cool. I gave this 4.5 stars for a for a teen, junior high, middle grade book. Goodreads has it at a 4.2, 4.22. Would I recommend this? Absolutely. This book was awesome. Other books that this author has read, written. The rest of the Lightning Girl series, there are 4 books. She wrote Star Switch. She wrote a series called Luna Wolf, and there was a book called Girls Rule. I don't know. I think there's more books, but I don't. I couldn't find very much, so that's what we stick with. This page has a quote on it. It says, "Books are not made for furniture, but there is nothing else so beautifully furnishes a house." Henry Ward Beecher. Okay, struggled through that a little bit. That's okay. All right, this is what my review is. I wrote it a few days ago, so great book. Can't wait to read the other books, but would have been fine as a standalone. I really like that it had family problems, and like most families or some families do. I liked that Aurora's biracial. Um, it doesn't go into that very much. There's no struggle with having a white dad and a black mom, but the pictures show that they're a biracial family. It's great. Um, I'm glad it showed Aurora's struggle to not share that she had superpowers with anyone, including her brother and sister. Grant is crazy, and how rude of her to try and make Aurora a criminal right away. How did I not see the science teacher was a bad guy? And his takedown was great. My favorite part was the ants in them. That's what I wrote. That's all I wrote. Oh, now it goes to the spoily part. I won't spoil too much of this book because I don't want to. Because it's so good. Okay. So it starts out, Aurora is just a normal kid. It does kind of start out, you're in school, you know. Um, but the way her powers first start, she's 10, and her younger sister is being bullied on the playground. And was to go over and talk to them. Be like, "Hey, leave my sister alone." But she was so angry that light showed through her hand, like flashed from her hands, and uh caused people to turn around, and she's looking down at her hand. Sorry, Mike. She's looking down at her hand, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" They get distracted by her, And she's like, um, I was just looking at my scar on my hand. I was born with it. Weird, isn't it? And then, the bell rings and she takes her sister. And so then people are starting to giggle about, healing skin problem, whatever. We find out that she's not on good terms with one of her teachers, Mr. Mercury, that, every time she turns around, she's having an accident where, like, she kicked the ball and it hit him, or she stands up because her friend spilled her water on her, and so she stands up, and when she does, she knocks into her teacher's lunch tray, and it, like, gets spaghetti sauce or whatever all over him and stuff like that. And, yeah. And then we meet the different characters in the class. This is Fred. We also have Susie and Georgie, who are best friends, and one of them is we find out she's kind of like the snobby um gymnast kid that kind of is rich, and Georgie it wants to be a fashion designer, and you meet her Aurora's best friend, uh Kizzy or Kaizy. I couldn't figure out which way I was supposed to say that. So her best friend, and then her other best friend is a dog, Timmy. And yeah, so the first time light shoots from her hands is when she's protecting her sister. The second time it happens is because Susie is doing flips and stuff in PE class, and the teacher is like, "Oh," and Aurora's like, "I can do it too," and she tried to do a cartwheel and she flipped, and so when she got home, she decided, "I'm gonna do cartwheels," and she started practicing in the backyard and practicing in the backyard, and she kept falling, and one time she falls really hard and the light shoots from her hands and like destroys the garden. And the neighbor starts, I think aliens have, landed. Oh, by the way, they're in London. They live in London or near London. And the neighbor is crazy, going crazy saying aliens are there, and um Aurora's trying to figure out what to do, and then she like looks up after she's caught her breath, and she sees mom and dad standing there. We need to talk. And so they have the talk about powers, and mom is super excited, and dad is like, "Oh, um, Aurora is actually getting her powers a lot earlier than anyone else in the family ever has." And mom's mom has a twin sister, and so mom and her sister didn't start showing powers until they were like older, like end of high school, beginning of college time. And Aurora's mom immediately is like, "We're gonna start training," and dad is against this. And then mom and dad sort of split up. Aunt is in town, and she's crazy, and she has red sparks or red um lightning, and I was like, we all know what that means. Bad. But she takes Aurora out on the town. Like, she has her skip school and uses her powers to like get them into the top restaurant and different places. Like, she always uses her powers to cause a distraction so they can slip in. And Aurora's like, "Okay, this is not, we need to pay for this. We need, she's kind of like, shouldn't we pay, shouldn't, but she's like, this is the most fun I've ever had, so I'm not gonna go against it. And then, um, she's also her mom has sworn her to secrecy about the powers, so she can't even talk to her best friend, and her best friend is starting to notice that things are happening, like, she's, like, pulling away, that she's keep hiding, not telling her the whole truth. And, so finally, mom and dad have split up, right? The dad is staying in the house with the kids, and mom, because mom's work always has her going off at random hours and times. So they both decided that because dad has normal work hours, that the kids should stay with him and mom's not around. And so Aurora tells her that, oh, my parents are splitting up. They're taking a break from each other, and I'm just struggling with it. And when they're together, they fight. And, Kizzy or Kaiser is like, oh, okay. And in the beginning, they're not really friends with Susie or Georgie. And Fred is like the prankster class. That's putting it nicely. Um, then they go on her dad works at a museum where I think he's an archaeologist. He works with stones and bones and stuff like that. And he's been studying some rocks, the precious stones that there's going to be a big event for, black and white event. And so their school, the science teacher had set up for them to go visit the museum as a school field trip. Sorry, my brain stopped working. I was like, those things that you take during school. Um, where you leave the school? And, he's asking so many questions that he doesn't see that Fred has disappeared. And as they get closer to where the precious stones are, Aurora starts like getting tingly, like her powers are not under her control. So she takes off running to go find a room that she can be alone in. And she gets into the office. Her dad used to bring her here all the time because he worked here. So she knows that this is like a storage room, and so she goes in there because she's like, no one comes in here. And the door flings open, and it's her best friend, and Susie and Georgie have followed, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And then Fred is actually digging through boxes, and he's like, "Look, whalebone!" And she's like, "Get down, everyone! Duck!" And the shoots out of her hands the lightning, and they've all seen it now, and they're like, Susie faints, and Georgie and Fred, no, Fred is like, "Whoa, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen." Kizzy or Kizzy, whatever her name is like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And then Georgie is like, "Whoa, like, cool." And um, they have enough time for Aurora to be like, "Please don't tell my secret." And the science teacher, and Aurora's dad, who was doing the tour, show up, and the teacher's like, "What are you guys doing in here?" And for a minute, everyone stands there, and they're like, and then Fred is like, "Oh, right." And he like picks up a whalebone. He's like, I found your whalebone that you were talking about earlier, that y'all lost, that y'all misplaced. We found it." And Aurora's dad has taken in the beam, like, debris, and he's like, Oh, yes, finally, thank you so much, you have very great students that help me out so much. And the teacher's like, "What did y'all do in here?" And the dad is like, "Oh, no, it wasn't them, it was that air vent. I keep meaning to get it fixed, but it's pretty bad. I should just have it turned off, but then it gets too hot in here." Like, he's like, "It wasn't the kids." But all the kids get detention because they left the group without telling anyone. Yeah. There's also a, teacher conference thing that happened, and, her aunt shows up with her pet ostrich, drinking a martini, I believe. Yeah. Oh, come on, don't be blurry. And then there's Aurora, the teacher, and her dad. Oh, what? Um, and then, like, she's like, "Sorry I'm late. I'm stepping in for my sister. She's been held up." And when she gets there, she's got ice in her hair, like, her hair is like ice cubed. And, that part's pretty funny too. I'm like, "How did you?" And wouldn't it be heavy? Wouldn't you know? Um, and then on her best friend's birthday, she's noticed that her best friend has started hanging out more and more with Susie and Georgie, and, she shows up she call you know, her friend calls her and is like, "Look, you promised you're gonna be here," and all this stuff, and she's like, "I'm gonna be there. I'm packing up a bag now. I'm, getting everything together." And then her aunt shows up and is like, "There's a top secret mission and I need your help." And, she makes it sound like this building with all these people, this auction building with all these people are in danger, and she needs Aurora to help get this box. And so is like, "Okay, and then after you'll take me to my friend's house." She's like, "Yeah." And so she crawls through this tunnel and, uses her power to light the tunnel so she could see it. She finds the box and she's so careful with it and gets it all the way back, down out of the air ducts. And her aunt just like pops it open and she ducks down like it's gonna explode. And her aunt was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Look." And it's like a diamond. Like a diamond necklace that her and this other guy stole years ago. They were about to get caught. She fled. He hid the diamond in the air duct, and she didn't know where he hid it until recently. So Aurora is very mad at her aunt and goes to uh her aunt drops her off at her friend's house for the birthday party. The birthday party's over. People are leaving. Like they were gone all day. And so she's trying to apologize and her friend's like, "Yeah? Yeah? So what was the big emergency?" But Aurora can't tell her. Um this is before they found out, I think, about her powers. Yeah, that was before they found out her about her powers. While they're in detention, they start asking her all sorts of questions. Because the teacher left to go to the bathroom. The one of the first questions is, "Are you an alien?" And what? No, why does everyone think alien first thing? Why can't they think superpower? And she tries to avoid them for a while, and then they show up at her house. Oh, after her aunt picks them up from school, her and her sister and her brother, and, then while she's picking them up, one of her teacher, her science teacher shows up at the car to have a little chat, and they start flirting, kind of, or we think they're flirting, and, Ew. And her aunt calls him a different name each time she says his name. His name is Mr. Mercury. But she's like, Mr. Jupiter and Mr. Neptune. And I think she does it on purpose, so it's pretty funny. And he asks about her necklace, and she's all like, "Oh yeah, this thing, most people don't know what it is." And he's like, "Oh well, I know what it is because I'm the science teacher. I'm supposed to know what it is." But because we're seeing this from Aurora's point of view, ew, my aunt is flirting with my teacher. um and then and then her friend, all of the kids that saw her with her powers, they show up at her door and they're like, "Oh yeah, no. We formed a group. You're a superhero. You got to have your team." And so they come and they start talking about, where is it? Oh, we all have our own roles to play in the club. You know, should evil ever strike. Fred informed me. Susie is going to help you with your gymnastics movement, and she says because it's a necessary skill for a superhero to have. And Georgie's gonna help you with your superhero costume. Um, and Georgie says, "I have some great ideas for accessories." And Kizzy or Kizzy is gonna be in charge of research and brains and brain of the operations. And she blushes and she's like, I'll help where I can. And Fred goes, and I'm gonna be the president of the club because I'm a genius. And they're all like, who made you president? And he goes, well, the club was my idea, wasn't it? Naturally, that makes me the president. And so, they're gonna argue. And Aurora's like, wait, no, no. I already told you I've given up my power. I'm not gonna do power. No, I'm not gonna do superhero stuff. And they're like, yeah, you said that, but here's the thing: you can't really stop being who you are. Says her best friend. And then Fred's like, and so we decided we're gonna be your helpers. We're gonna, we started this club. And so yeah, and then they bring out these shoes that have been hand sewed with Lightning Girl on it in glittery letters. And Georgie's like, they're the newest shoes. Um my mom works for with the brand, but I just personalized them. So now they're even cooler. Um yeah. And so they have their first meeting and they talk about stuff and all of that. Then it's her dad's precious stone exhibit and she has to go and she gets there and she's not feeling she's her power feels like it's getting out of control, so she is trying to get away. And her mom had showed up but she didn't see Aurora, and she finds her brother and she's like, "Hey, where's mom?" Because her friends show up when she's outside and they're like, "Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh." Trying to get her attention like, "Hey, over here." And so finally she's like, "What?" And she runs over and she's like, "If you guys wanted, passes to come, we could have worked something out." And the her best friend's like, "We've been trying to call you for hours." She's like, they take your phone before you go in so you can't take pictures." She's like, "Well, look, I was going through all your mom's old stuff," and she was flipping, she flips through and she holds up an article and she's like, "Look at this man." And Aurora's like, "The blackout burglar." And she's like, she starts kind of reading it. She's like, "Look at it." And turns out it was their science teacher from like years ago who has a grudge against their mom or her mom. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, how did I not see this coming?" Like, I thought he was just a mean teacher because, teachers can, some teachers, some teachers are just rude. And, so they all go in because they're like, they're trying to find mom. And, uh, her brother, his name is Alexis. And if I say it too loud, then my Alexa go off. So anyway, she goes up to her brother and she's like, "Where's mom?" And he's like, "You don't look sick." And she's like, "Who said I was sick? Where's mom? She's supposed to be with you because you're sick. Mr. Mercury found her and said that you were somewhere." And she's like, "What? No." And so they like turn to go search for the mom and the power goes out. And the group is like, "Now's the time it'll happen." And then they hear crashing and Aurora does her thing and lights up the room. And then it's like a slew of things happen and it's really cool. Each kid in the club does something. I'm trying to get to another picture. So first, he so you can see Mr. Mercury now, and he starts going towards the door, and Georgie runs over to like block his way, and Fred throws her a can of hairspray, and she sprays him in the eyes, and Susie does some sort of flippy thing and kicks him so he falls backwards, and then Fred is right behind him and like pulls his waistband and pours something in his pants. And unsure because like no one knows exactly what happened. And Mr. Mercury like reaches down and he's like, "Sand, you think some sand is gonna stop me?" And my favorite part, it says, "You think a bit of sand or dirt is gonna stop me?" Mr. Mercury growled, towering threateningly over his student. "I am very disappointed in you, Fred." And then Fred says, "I think you'll be a little more disappointed when I tell you I ended up going against your advice you gave me in the beginning of term. You know, when I asked you what ant I should put in my ant farm?" Fred grinned. "As soon as you told me to avoid red ants because they bite, I knew they were the ones I needed." And yeah. So that happens. And finally the guards show up and take him down. And then by the time Aurora, that happens, Aurora releases her light and like slumps to the ground. And so now everyone knows about her powers. And then there's a talk about one of the certain stones that Dad has been um investigating, I guess, or researching, and he never realized that it has the same symbol as her scar does. And mom and aunt is like, "That explains why we feel weird. Like we think this is connected to us." And so it's put somewhere safe. The stone necklace, the diamond necklace that the aunt had Aurora still earlier in the book, has been sent to where it belongs, and Aunt is very upset about it. And so she leaves. She goes to Bora Bora, or she has a flight to Bora Bora, whatever. And then mom and dad decide they are going home together, and her brother is like in shock. He's like still like kind of, and the little sister leans down because Aurora was like sitting on the floor. She's like, "There's something you'd like to tell us?" I was like, "Yes, little sister, get her." Um, but then mom and dad have the whole entire superhero club come over, and they have a little get together and all of that, and it was super sweet ending. And then my favorite part, um can't turn the page, is at the back of the book you have like superhero stats. And so you have like Aurora Beam, Lightning Girl, her height, her what she's known for, what she couldn't live without. And then all of the other kids in the superhero group are there. Also, 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 there's this in the back of the book. From when the neighbor was saying that there was aliens in their neighbor's yard. And there's an actual like article written that you can read. It's really cute. I like it. And then you have this page. I know it's kind of blurry. It's oh, the superhero club decided to call themselves Bright Sparks. So the Bright Sparks code of conduct: number 1, keep Aurora's powers top secret. Number 2, no secrets between members of Bright Spark. Number 3, never trust a science teacher. Number 4, follow Georgie's fashion advice. And number 5, keep Aurora's powers top secret. Also, the unbreakable pinky promise. Duh. And then it shows what her scar looks like. But all in all, I thought it was a really cute book, and I can't wait to read the other ones eventually. Um, have you read this book? Have you read this book? Thought it was good. And yeah. So I am my next book that I'm gonna read off of my Paper Pie reading challenge is going to be, I don't know yet. It might be the Book of Secrets. My niece still has it. I haven't gotten it back from her. So yeah. And then off the preteen teen reading challenge, maybe uh maybe Nightmares or The Girl in White. I have Nightmares, so I don't have to go searching for it, but again, it all depends on how fast I can get them from the library or off of Libby or one of the other things that I use. And then the reading challenge for the adults, I am reading Intensity. Oh, I'm sorry. Storybots. Um, popped into my head. I'm reading Intensity by Dean Koontz. I just started it, so I'm only 9 pages in. But yeah, this one. And I have The House on Pound Hill. I might read that one also. Yeah, that's what I'm listening to. That's what I'm reading. Um, I'll leave a link to get this book in the description, and this will be the challenges will be in the description. You can get on a Google Doc, and then ways to get them off of Amazon or PaperPie. I have links for those also, so you don't have to go searching for them. I don't have anything else to talk about. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you read this, tell me about it. Um, if you liked it, and subscribe because it shows me that you like watching my stuff. If you're not sure if you want to subscribe, you can click my face. It'll be down here, and it'll take you to my channel, and then you can go and look at my playlists or my videos and decide to check them out. Share this video because sharing is caring, and someone else might have a little girl that needs to read this. Like, I'm so glad I have this because I'm gonna read it again with my kid later in life. It's older. Um, so we can talk about, should you crawl through a small space when your aunt is a little on the shady side? Anyway, that's all I have to talk about. You see us in the background. I started printing out my kids' school stuff for next school year, and it's a lot of work. Yeah. So, new mess. All right. Well, I will see you on my next video. Bye.